Welcome back to the Lock It In Pod. I'm your host, Nathan Clark, here with my brother, Steven Clark. We've got March Madness basketball to talk tonight. We've got two special guests. Steven, you want to tell everyone about your friends?
Yeah, we got two college basketball analysts here. We got Dylan Engler and Austin Ash. How you doing, fellas?
What's up?
Doing well. Ready to talk some hoops?
Yeah, let's do it.
Cool, man. Well, first round basketball, we didn't see a lot of upsets. We had one, which, by the way, I want to point out that was my pick. McNeese State called it. But we didn't see a lot of upsets in the first and second rounds. What was y'all's take? We saw a great matchup in that UConn-Florida game, in my opinion. But what were y'all's takeaways from the first and second round?
Well, it's kind of like you said. There was just not a lot of upsets. I mean, a lot of the games were just kind of some duds and matchups you thought were going to be great. Like, I thought Georgia and Gonzaga was going to be a great matchup, and the game starts out 27-3 in favor of Gonzaga. So just a lot of like one-sided matchups. I think even people thought like the predictable upsets like Yale over Texas A&M, and it was a close game but wasn't close enough. And then I think the overwhelming pick to upset was UC San Diego over Michigan, which was a great game. I think they really gave them a run for their money, but ended up not pulling it through in the end.
Yeah, what'd you think, Dylan?
Yeah, I think a lot of times, people can get really wrapped up in the upsets, making March Madness, really eventful. I think you do have to realize though that even though there hasn't been a ton of upsets, there have been some good games, and I mean it's been very predictable outcomes. Obviously, the Drake upset was pretty predictable. I think a lot of people had Drake, but at the end of the day, there have been some pretty good games. You look at all the Power 4 schools, moving on. The Sweet 16 is just dominated by the Power 4 schools, and even like the ACC, they only have one school in it really. So it's really just been, the big three, the SEC, and it's been, even though there hasn't been too many upsets, I feel like it has been decent. There's been a couple buzzer beaters. The UC San Diego. Wow. The UC San Diego game was pretty good, even though it ended in a loss for them. It's still a great game, still fun to watch, and overall has been a good tournament. But still some fun games ahead, and I'm excited to look forward to the rest of the games.
Yeah, I'll jump in. I mean, as a sports fan, and you're up on those Thursday and Friday, those first two games, you want to see upsets, you want to see buzzer beaters, you want to see crazy comebacks. Obviously, we didn't have a ton of that those first 2 days. There were some close finishes. I mean, Maryland and Colorado State was my favorite game of the tournament so far. Calling timeout and hitting that three, and then Maryland pushing it up the floor because you can't advance it in college. Hopefully that changes eventually, and then going to the freshman Queen, who is an unbelievable player and had a great game outside of that game winner as well. But I think because of the no upsets and a lot of the predictable matchups that are coming this weekend, there'll be some great games coming up where sometimes you have a 12 seed playing a 1 seed to go to the Elite Eight, where we got a lot of 4s versus 1, 2 versus 3 matchups that I think will be really fun to watch.
I was about to say, I really agree with that in the sense that like maybe we didn't have a lot of nail biters in the first and second round, but this Sweet 16 and Elite 8 matchups are I think this is gonna really revitalize people saying like, oh, this tournament has sucked so far, but then we're gonna come out and there's probably gonna be some great games.
Yeah, I mean, I've heard from a lot of people, they've been like, oh, the tournament sucks so far, like this, that. I'm like, all right, we've gotten to the point now, we've weeded out the mid-majors, we've weeded out the weaker teams. Now, coming into this weekend, we're going to see some heavyweight matchups. But the game I really liked from last week, the Italian Classic, Patino versus Calipari. So what did you guys think of that game?
Yeah, I mean, I thought it was a great game. I think it was just kind of what I'd been thinking all along with St. John's, was just like when R.J. Lewis gets cold, I mean, what are they going to do? The offense was not there for them, and credit to Arkansas. I mean, I think everyone all along throughout early in the season, and then obviously like they weren't where they wanted to be, but everyone kind of, like Calipari said, everyone kind of wrote them off, like didn't think they had a chance, and they really put together a run to get where they are now. And I don't really think it's even like the offense that's been taking a step; it's the defense for them. I mean, they've been locked in defensively, and like I said, I don't think St. John's is really a exceptional offensive team, but they held R.J. Lewis to 3 of 17 shooting. They got him benched in the final 4 minutes, and he's the Big East Player of the Year. So
Yeah, that was a controversial take. So, Dylan, I know you had some thoughts on this. What do you think about Pitino benching his star player in crunch time down the stretch in March Madness? That's just crazy, right?
Yeah, it's tough. I mean, there's a reason why Patino gets paid the big bucks, and we're just talking on a podcast. But in my opinion, I mean, you got to play him. I don't care if he's 1 for 30. You got to play him. He's the Big East Player of the Year. He's the reason why you guys got there in the first place. He's been killing it all season. 3 for 17 down the stretch, and I know post game he's talking about like, oh, you know why I didn't play him. You know why I didn't play him. Well, I actually don't know why you didn't play him. If it was me, I would have played him. I would have stuck with my guns. He got us there in the first place. Bad decision on his end, in my opinion. But again, he gets paid the big bucks, so I guess that's why he's making the decisions, and I'm not.
Yeah, Austin, do you agree?
Yeah, I definitely would. It was kind of weird to me. I mean, I was kind of with a bunch of people, so I wasn't completely locked in. But from what I could tell, he was finally starting to find a little rhythm. He was getting to the free throw line, and I think he came out after making 2 free throws. Could be wrong on that, but I think he came out after.
I remember that because I remember the whole thing about the guy coming in was going in for the shooter, so he made the 2 free throws and they pulled him out. It's just crazy.
Yeah, so part of me wonders if he said coming out to him while he took him out, like, and it became a grudge thing, and he didn't want to put him back in because he was getting to the paint. And at the end of the day, they just need someone to get the ball in the rim because they were going back and getting it, and that's what that game was. It was who can get a shot off, and it was a war on the glass, and then it was a ref show where they're both great coaches, and both of them were itching to get the calls, and it kind of became that way down the stretch. But yeah, they definitely didn't know who to go to, and then a couple people took some shots they shouldn't have. Where you got to play the percentages. If he was 3 for 18, maybe he hits his last 2 or 3, and then they're still playing. But that's my thoughts.
I agree, 100%.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's a great point, Austin. I think maybe that there was something said that Pitino didn't want to disclose after the game. Like I said, I find it really, really hard to believe that Pitino doesn't go to his best player at the end of the game. So maybe you're right. Maybe he did say something coming off the court, or maybe there was some animosity with one of the others. But yeah, who knows?
I mean, like you said, Dylan, do you think that's wrong of a coach to maybe get in an argument with a player in possibly the biggest game of the season for them, and to bench him over maybe what was said or something like that?
Sure, maybe it's just an ego thing at the end of the day. And at the end of the day, it's the coach's decision. Like it's not RJ Lewis's decision to go in. So obviously Patino's ego is going to get the better of the two. So yeah, maybe it's maybe Pitino was just trying to feel like the bigger man and like, hey, if we're getting an argument, like I'm going to be the one that wins at the end of the day. So like I said, it's a tough decision. Maybe there's an argument, like if there was some sort of animosity between the two coming off the court and there was something that was said. But I completely disagree with the decision if it was strictly based off of performance in the game.
Yeah, I got you. Well, let's move on to the next segment we got here, talking about, obviously, like we said, all the higher seeds pretty much advance and not a lot of lower seeds, but I'll start with you, Nathan. Which player kind of has stood out to you the most this tournament? I know there's been a lot, but if you had to narrow it down to one guy, who do you think has been your standout player so far?
I've got one guy for you because coming into the tournament, I wrote Tennessee off, saying, they're a great defensive team, but I thought that they lacked that guy on offense that could just go give them a bucket, like Dalton connected last year. And the first 2 games of this tournament, Chaz Lanier has been that guy going for 20 points, 2 games. He's carried the offensive load for Tennessee. So he's been my player of the tournament so far simply because of the impact he's had on an entire team and their fortunes.
Yeah, what'd you got, Austin?
Yeah, I mean, this one's probably obvious, but I'm going to go with Walter Clayton from Florida. I mean, that UConn game, heavyweight fight, UConn gave him everything they had. And he kind of had an off game, it felt like, at the start, didn't really have it going. And then when they were down the stretch, he had 2 contested off-the-dribble threes that were well-guarded by UConn. I think they would give up that shot. And at the end of the day, you don't know if that's going to come in the Elite 8, round of 32, when you're going to have one of those games. And he did what he had to do the last 3 minutes to get him there. And I know it was expected, and he's a great player, but, man, those were some tough shots.
Yeah, I agree with that. Walter Clayton Jr.'s degree of difficulty shooting shots are next to none. I mean, I saw that one where he was going right, and he has a knack of hitting threes where his feet aren't facing the basket, like he can be facing the baseline or something and turn and shoot like that. And I mean that's a tough shot to make, especially like with the game on the line. But Dylan, what about you?
Yeah, for me, it's no question. It's JT Toppin. I think he's been killing it this tournament. I think he's the main reason why Texas Tech won the last game against Drake. Drake comes out, and I know we'll kind of get into it later, but I think McCollum just does a great job of controlling the game, controlling the tempo, and JT Toppin just completely disregards that. He goes out. He's averaged 19 and 12 in the tournament, and he had 2 really crucial blocks for Tech and early in the game. Yeah, I think he's the main reason why Tech ended up beating Drake, and I think without them, I think Drake, beats him by 15 points easy.
Yeah, I agree with you with JT Toppin. He's a really underrated player that I think a lot of people aren't really high on or even really know about, like, national relevance. But he's up there, probably top 5 in the country right now, in my opinion. If I had to pick one, it'd be Tyrese Proctor. I think he's someone that, I think he's a junior or senior now, and he's always been that guy where he's not been like the blue chip like recruit coming in that's going to get drafted right away. And I personally haven't even liked his game, to be honest. I kind of think he's not that good, but he proved me wrong these first 2 rounds. I mean, 19 points on 6 of 8 from 3 in the first round against Mount St. Mary's, and then 25 points, 7 of 8 from 3 in the second game against Baylor. I mean, yeah, he's
damn good performance.
Yeah.
Smooth stroke.
Pause.
I agree, though. But talking about another team, McNeese State, I picked them before the tournament. They were kind of the quote-unquote Cinderella, and we're going to talk about Cinderellas and how that kind of is applying to the college basketball landscape right now. But McNeese State, their coach is going to NC State right here. So we've seen a lot of coaching changes in a couple days. What do you guys think about the one-year coaches going to new destinations? We've seen that trend in the past couple days.
Well, I mean, I think that, we always look down, not us personally, but people in general, they look down on the athletes for going from one school to the next and stuff like that, and they're like, you need to stay committed. And I just kind of, I think in a way these coaches need to be held to the same standard. I mean, how are you going to pitch to a kid you're recruiting that you're building a culture at the school, but, like DeVries he's at Indiana now. He was at West Virginia for 1 year. Like, how are you supposed to, you're not recruiting kids to the school anymore. You're recruiting them for your team, your culture, no matter where you're at. So I think there needs to be a little bit more continuity of, like, you sign with a school to coach them, that, you need to give it a couple years. You shouldn't just jump ship. But I understand the business side. I know that Indiana obviously was a huge job, probably one of the top jobs in the country with their NIL and in basketball history and stuff. But some of these other coaches, I think that maybe they should have stuck it out a little longer. I think that especially Ben McCollum, like coming from his D2 powerhouse, he was there 8 years or something, and then came to the D1 level at Drake. I think he could have given it a couple more years. I know he's a Midwest native at Iowa and all that, but yeah, I don't know.
Dylan, what's your take, man?
Yeah, I think the one thing that college basketball has kind of taught me over the years is that it's a business. And I think that, if McCollum goes to Drake and he has a good year, his first year, I think he has every right in the book to transfer to another school. It's in the interest of a school to fire a coach in his first year. It's in the interest of a coach to leave if it's, if he's killing it. It's his decision, at the end of the day, if he's killing it and if he's got a good winning season. Drake had 31 wins. Like, if I'm McCollum, I'm leaving too. Like, it's in the interest of his family. It's in the interest of his players too. I know he's hinting at taking a couple players with him too. So he did a great job. Like Steven said, 8 years at Northwest Missouri State. I think they win 4 national championships in 8 years. I mean, that's unbelievable. Like, he's got every right in the book to transfer. And like I said, if I'm McCollum, I'm doing the same thing too.
I think it's already confirmed that his best player at Drake, Bennett Sturts, is already committed. So
yeah.
Package deal. Yeah, Austin, what do you think?
I would say I get it. If you're coming from the mid-major level and you have a season, like some of these guys have had, getting 30 wins, taking a school to their first conference championship maybe, or, taking a team that wasn't very good. I know Drake's had great success in the past as well. But you got to take your opportunity when it's there, because you never know what's going to happen in those following years. You can be really hot as a coach, right? And that's happened before at other mid-major schools. Can't think of any names that come to my mind, but where you had a good 3 to 5 year run and maybe there wasn't the right job out there, and then maybe then you go to the next 3 to 5 years and you kind of have some down years. Now you went from leveling up to you might be fired now yourself. So,
Yeah.
and the pay difference from these mid-major schools to the Power 5 level, as far as revenue sharing and the NIL money, as well as for their own families, it's crazy. It's night and day, not comparable.
Yeah.
So it's hard to blame a player for doing it. It's hard to blame a coach.
Yeah.
So.
I think an example of that, honestly, you're talking about a coach like maybe even that we know because we played at the Citadel in the SoCon at Furman, Bob Ritchie. I mean, he's built a powerhouse at Furman, and you could have thought he could have taken a Power 5 job probably like 3 or 4 years ago, and he's chosen to stick it out. I don't know what his plans are long term. I don't know if he would leave that this summer, whatever, if he's just staying there forever. But that's another example. Like he's had good seasons. I mean, they made it to the championship game again this year, but you never know. 3 years from now, they could be, trending more towards the bottom, and then, who knows what that new athletic director comes in and they want to go in a different direction, and then you're canned.
Yeah, that's true. Well, beyond reasonings, what's y'all's favorite hire from the cycle so far?
I think it has to be Will Wade. Am I right? I mean, what a slam dunk hire. I mean, you knew he was primed for a jump to the big leagues at some point coming from McNeese, but I think NC State
made a great fit at NC State.
I think McNeese State NC State made a great hire getting him. I mean, there's a couple of guys that are just like, a can't miss hire, and he was one of them.
Definitely.
Oh, see, that's great. That'd also be my pick too. I think we got to give him a shout out though, because for him to be able to have his players really locked in for the game. I mean, it's really easy for him and his players to, think about his next job at NC State, but he did a phenomenal job having them ready for the game and getting that upset, when all these external factors are going on. I got to give him a ton of credit. So everything that you said, and just kind of add on to that, give him a special shout out there. I think he did a great job in the tournament.
Yeah, that is a great point. That I think this is honestly probably one of the first times there's been a coaching change like that where it's been very public. He's been very public about it. I think a lot, obviously a lot of guys, and they're just like, I'm focused on the team right now. I'm not trying to talk about that. We'll talk after the season, and it's obvious. But he, I appreciate that from the coach, that he's like, yeah, I've talked about it with my players. Like, I'm upfront about it. Like, this is the situation. Like, this is what's going on, and they know.
Yeah, definitely. Austin, do you have another hire?
No, I mean, Will Wade's the man. He had the thing rolling at McNeese State. I will say, people say, they're Cinderella and everything like that. If you break down the money that program has to some of these other programs, it's not as big a difference as you think. So as much as it is a school we haven't heard of, Will Wade is a name that everybody knows, and that guy can find money. That's one thing he can do. So, as much as it is a Cinderella story, they are 12 seed or whatever they were. I don't think anybody was shocked to see them do what they did.
Yeah, that's a good point. That's why we have Austin on tonight, ladies and gentlemen. But you also made another point I want to touch on, Austin. You're talking about the discrepancy in NIL between mid-majors and the Blue Bloods right now. That's kind of what, the common take is why we're seeing March Madness right now, where all of the 1 seeds are alive. I think it was the first March Madness in about a decade where the top 4 seeds survived the first round, something like that. But what do you guys think about kind of the landscape of college basketball right now with NIL and how you're kind of seeing Blue Bloods run the show?
Yeah, I can start. I would say, one, I think there could have been more upsets this year. Being underdogs, you got to get off to a good start, and some of these teams just got jumped right away. So that just takes you right out of it. But I think that can change over the years. But I will say, some of these Blue Bloods in the past, they've had to rely on 5 freshmen because their players are so good where they're going to the league. It's hard to retain talent. Where now, these Blue Bloods, they can pay their best players over $1 million, right? So now you got your best players who are 5th-year seniors, 4th-year seniors, where some of these upsets, a lot of times, a 15 seed, a 14 seed, they got 6 dudes over 22, 23 years old, and the 1 seeds and 2 seeds got 5 starters that are 19 or 18. That's where they have their advantage. They're smarter basketball players they've been around, where they're not seen as much as that anymore. A lot of these coaches have said it publicly, I'm done recruiting freshmen. I want to go get dudes that have played 3 or 4 years, that are strong, have been around the block. So, I hope we can continue to see the Cinderellas, but I do think, if a kid averages 10-7 as a freshman in the SoCon, he's going to have everybody in Power 5 going at him. So it's going to be really hard for that to continue.
I think that's a good point going off what you said is, like, these coaches are on every coach. I don't really care who you are. You're on a 1 year your 1 year's basis every single year. Like, you have 2 bad years. Like, I don't care who you are. Like, you have a chance of getting fired. So, like you said, they don't want to take risks like going after a freshman anymore. Like, they want certified guys. I mean, a point I was gonna say, this Duke team, is this? Let me hear your guys' opinion. Is this the best crafted portal team so far to date? I mean, being able to bring in Cooper Flag, the top freshman, and then also bring in great role players like Sion James, like Mason Gillis, like Malik Brown. Like, I mean, is this quite possibly the best in recent years? Like, in the past, like as the portal has gotten bigger and it's become more of a thing, like the past 3 years, this is probably the best offseason a team has had.
Yeah, I can't imagine another one. I think, like you said, I think it's less about the just straight up talent they got and more about just the pieces and the roles that they're filling. I think it all runs through Cooper Flag, and I think obviously we could speak the world about Flag, right? I think at the end of the day, I think it's the pieces they brought in. They just play so well off of each other, and even if Flag's been hurt, hasn't been playing 100%, and then Proctor steps up, and I mean, it's like now it's the Proctor show, and I think they just have so many pieces that fit together so well. I couldn't imagine another team in the last 5 or 6 years that did a better job than they're doing right now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, as we move on to like the Sweet 16 and Elite 8, I mean, who's your guys' favorite matchups? Who do you guys think's coming out of each region? Which game are you looking forward to the most out of the Sweet 16, and then possible matchups for the Elite 8? I'll start with you, Nathan.
The game I'm most looking forward to is Auburn-Michigan. I just think that's probably going to be the most competitive game. That's a game I'm looking forward to. But honestly, at this point, it feels like it's Duke or Florida's championship to lose. I mean, do you all agree?
Yeah.
I mean, it feels inevitable. It's like Thanos. It feels inevitable at this point.
Also, I saw you shake your head there. Wait, you don't agree?
Yeah, I think I'd say they're the favorite for sure. That's not who I'm rolling with. I'm going with Houston. I think it's their time. I feel like they've been close. They're super well coached. They got experience. Duke and Florida are unbelievable teams. I think they both have, probably a little better chance anyway, but I just got a feeling that Houston's going to get it done. They guard so well. Cryer hits big shots when they need to. They got some other guards. They got a good blend of youth and old, and they just got dudes that clean the glass as well. But Duke's looked invincible. Florida showed that they can be beat this last weekend, but I'm rolling with Houston.
Yeah, no, talk about a game that I want to watch. I mean, I think Nathan, kind of said it. That Michigan and Auburn game is going to be fantastic. Talk about a player who's underrated, who flies under the radar. Andy Wolf from Michigan. Wow, I mean, he can really go. Yeah. I had the privilege of watching him actually earlier in the year. They played Oklahoma at a Jordan Classic down in North Carolina. Man, he can really play. I think he's very underrated. His passing skills, I think he's getting 4 assists a game, as a true big. I mean, he's a real 6'9", 6'10" dude. Can really put the ball on the floor, stretches the floor really well. His draft stock's rising, and it should be. I mean, he's a good player. So I'm excited to watch that game. I think he should go down to the wire for sure.
Yeah, I think in that Michigan game, I think the key for them is going to be not turning the ball over. I mean, I think that's why a lot of people were picking UC San Diego over them, is that Michigan turns the ball over more than anyone in Power 4, and then UC San Diego was really good at making people turn the ball over. So that was why that was such an obvious upset pick. But I think especially with Auburn's, stout defense, I guess you could say, like they're definitely going to have their hands full of taking care of the ball. So
yeah, no, that's an interesting point. I would have to disagree. I think that you look at the 2010 Warriors, like they led the league in assists and turnovers. Like they were always turning the ball over, and they absolutely dominated the 2010. So of course I think turnovers are important. But I think
comparing a college team to the 2010 Warriors is kind of crazy to me. The best offensive basketball team in history.
Yeah, no, I agree. I
think you got to protect the ball. That's the common fan's opinion from the couch over here.
The one non-basketball player.
Yeah. Can we get some love for BYU Bama?
I think Bama's just going to beat the brakes off of them.
I think so too. I was really impressed with Bama's last game.
Yeah,
BYU
they're definitely really good.
Yeah.
I love BYU though, and it's gonna be. I like watching points. It's gonna be a high-scoring game.
I mean, you're going to see points in that game, that's for sure.
Yeah. Well, going around, I know we all kind of picked like some like definite like favorites, but I guess Austin kind of alluded to BYU. Dylan and Nathan, if you had to pick a team that wasn't like a 1 or 2 seed, kind of like a 3 or 4 or 5 maybe that's still in, like who would you pick? Me personally, I think I would probably go with like Texas Tech or Maryland. Maryland is a sneaky pick that I think they have a really good chance against Florida with their size. I think they match up well with them if it just comes down to stopping Walter Clayton and making shots. But what do you guys think?
Yeah, I'd go Tech. I think, like I said, I like JT Toppin a lot. I think they're playing good. I think that Drake win was really solid. I think they're hot and they're peaking at the right time. If I couldn't go Tech, like I said, Michigan's playing good. I think they're flying under the radar. They had a great season. Not a lot of people are talking about them. So I think Tech and Michigan are kind of my 2 favorites that aren't a 1 or 2 seed.
I'm going to take a gambling perspective here, boys. I'm going to go with Arkansas. And wow. Arkansas is currently the lowest ranked best value in terms of putting money on them to win it all. I see so much value with Calipari being the legendary coach that he is. Arkansas, like you talked about, their momentum's high right now. They were awful to start the season, but they've been riding hot lately. If I just had to put money down on a lower seeded upset, to go forward, it's going to be on Arkansas, Calipari at the best value on the board.
They did just announce that Deuce Thiero is going to be back for this game. He's only going to play like 12 minutes, but
no clue who that is, but I love it.
Well, it was kind of the same with Boogie Flan. He was out with his wrist or hand injury for the greater part of the SEC conference play, but he came back, and first game back I think he played him like 15 plus minutes, and I mean that's a lot to bring someone into the NCAA tournament first game back and have the game that he did. I mean it's not like he was out there just running around, like he was actually like playing well, and Calipari said that, and so we'll see if you go ahead, Dill.
Cooper Flag, he did it too.
Well, yeah, but that was like 1 or 2 games. But I see what you mean there. But what do you got another pick other than BYU or?
I don't know, man. Can Arizona beat Duke? Caleb Love story where he's always had it against Duke.
I don't think so.
Probably not, but I don't know. Ole Miss is running really hot. They looked really good against Iowa State. They got some dudes that can go. Padula's a player, man. He hits big shots when they need it. They have some big guys that can hit some tough shots as well. And I think Iowa State was really good this year. They were a tough out, and they handled them pretty easy. So watch out. We'll see.
Yeah. Well, finishing up with that, we're going to move into wavelength. Yeah, to explain it to you guys at home, we got the little thing right here. Someone's going to open up while their partner closes their eyes, and then we're going to give like a one way or another category, and they got to get on the same wavelength as their partner. I think, those of you who watched the first episode and got to me and Nathan doing it, we were quite possibly the worst wavelength players ever, considering, we're brothers, and Nathan, I'm not going to take the blame for it, because honestly, I think Nathan is the worst player when it comes to this game, but so when we were coming up with teams, I said, do not put me on Nathan's team again. So me and Austin are going to be a team. Dylan and Nathan. Let's see if Dylan can redeem Nathan. So
let's do it.
We'll start with me and Austin. I guess I'll if Austin, you want to close your eyes, I'm gonna spin it. I'm gonna show everyone. So we got the category is underrated coach, overrated coach. All right, you can open them, Austin.
All right.
If I had to pick one, I'm gonna pick Todd Golden. So underrated, overrated. You tell me where to go.
Who did you pick?
Todd Golden.
Okay. Let's go with right side is which one?
This side is overrated, underrated.
Okay, let's go like halfway to your left. Yep. Right there.
Oh, 3 points. Dang. There we go.
Dang.
That was a big time.
Yeah,
that was honestly probably the first time we played where we actually get it on the first try, but It's just two guys on the same wavelength. You know what I mean? All right. We got Nathan and Dylan. We got Clutch. All right. Last time I said this, I butchered it, but we're gonna go not clutch player, clutch player. So
You mean a choker?
yeah, I didn't want to say that, but all right. All right. Which one are you guessing?
I'll guess.
All right. Tell me when, Dill.
Now.
All right.
I mean, you can go. Yeah, I feel pretty good about this. Caleb Love.
He's definitely clutch, so start cranking that puppy to the right. Stop. All right, yeah, send it.
Oh my gosh.
Caleb
No, Dylan, I'm not gonna lie. I thought that was pretty bad. Like him hitting that shot, him hitting that shot against Duke in the Final Four.
Yeah,
like,
yeah, that's what I'm thinking of.
Very clutch. But he's had some moments where it's been like, bro, that's like he's had.
He also
multiple
hit
games where, like,
he hit a half court shot to win a game.
oh yeah, Dylan, I don't know what you're talking about.
Crazy, Steven, am I right?
No, you're right. That was all on Dylan. That was all on Dylan.
That's crazy.
All right, Austin. We got a team that you would not want to play for and a team that you would want to play for. So I'll do it. I'll close my eyes. I'm not looking. I'll show it to you. You got it?
Okay. I got it.
All right, we're ready. All right, give me one.
All right. Team I would want to play for. Let's go with Alabama.
All right, well, I think I would want to play for them a good bit. I'm going to put that like right. There's only a few teams I can think of over them that would be right there. So I'm going to give it like maybe right there. Wow. We got 3.
They're rolling.
We are just on the
Getting
same
ourselves a hole.
Yeah, this 6-0 to start is not good. So you
Tough.
got to get this.
Good?
Yeah, I don't really, I don't even think you have a chance, but you know.
Let's go.
Good?
All right, we got not iconic basketball jersey.
Okay.
Only in the field right now that are playing in the field right now. In the round of 68.
All right, stop. Okay. Damn.
Not iconic. Iconic.
All right, I'm gonna do this for the 16 teams left, just to give you like more perspective of what I'm trying to say here. I would probably say let's go with Michigan's jerseys.
I mean, Michigan. You know, that's a Jordan logo. I mean, that's already gonna. Ah, man. Am I wrong for thinking it's pretty iconic? I mean, it's a Jordan logo. It's
Decently iconic. Well, I mean, I can't really talk you through that process.
I'm leaning iconic.
Actually, I take it back. I say Auburn.
Wow. Okay.
Auburn.
All right, I'm locking it in. Auburn.
All right.
Auburn. That's my pick. Because I don't think we were on the same wavelength.
Yeah, let's go. Man, I just don't feel like I see a ton of Auburn jerseys. I don't know. I'd go more.
It doesn't have to be one way or the other.
Yeah, no. I'd go less iconic. Keep going. There. Yeah.
Oh.
I see the vision.
One right in the middle. All right, Michigan was a bad one because I forgot about the whole Jordan thing, but yeah,
he was just going based off the
right
looks.
down the middle.
Yeah. All right, Austin. We got worst college basketball atmosphere, best college basketball atmosphere. All right.
I'm good?
Yeah, you're good, man.
All right.
That's in the field this year. I'm gonna say St. Francis.
That's a D3 school.
They were in the field this year.
Let's crank it all the way down to the left there, pal. I'm good with that. Let's go.
There we go. I think it actually landed on a 3, so we'll just say 9.
Oh,
Eesh.
Too easy.
Right.
I wish we would have had
an easy
one.
one.
So there's
We've got
possibly no chance you can win. I will give you guys a bonus here. If you can get it directly on the 4, like directly on
Alright.
it,
Let's do it.
we can call that a win for y'all, but there's no chance. But we got worst school logo, best school logo.
Stop. Oh gosh. Talk about some brutal spins. Is this only the teams that are left, or can I pick a team that was in it?
Any team that was in the field.
Honestly, you can pick anything. I don't care.
I mean, this is all just bias. So I'll go Gonzaga.
I feel like it's a good one, but it's not the best. Maybe that's
Sure.
kind of that's the wavelength I'm thinking. Crank it to the right a little. All right, stop. Crank to the left a little bit. A little more. A little more. Stop.
Right
All
there.
Send it. Send it.
Oh, you were almost there.
Oh.
Almost there. 2 point. Hey, at least you guys got on the board. So we got final score 9-2. Me and Austin. Honestly, I think that was probably the best
That's a good
partnership so far. I mean, me and Austin. I mean, I know we're on the same wavelength, just like we were back in the day when we played. But maybe Nathan can get on. I think Nathan is just the weak link when it comes to anyone. I think
I
Dylan
don't know about
would have
that.
got some if he got paired up with someone good. But we got some new games coming next week on the pod. We got a special guest for y'all next week, Benjamin Bosmans Verdonk, the SEC Scholar Athlete of the Year. So great to
Our
see.
guy.
Great to see him come on, and we'll see what kind of questions we got for him and what he has to say about his experience at Illinois and South Carolina. And we'll tune in next week. So
Thank you, everyone.
Thanks for having me, man. Appreciate you guys having me.
yes, sir.
That was fun.
All right, love you, everyone.